Butter, you're the reason why I am my way. You're the reason why I rip my shirts, why I eat at the buffet. Butter, you got your very own kind of nice. We all live inside a butter world. Oh, butter, butter, gonna eat it by the stick tonight. Gonna eat out this world. Oh, butter, I'm about to take a bite, 'cause I want that salty cream. What I dream about all night. Butter dreaming. I'm about to take a bite, 'cause I want that salty cream. What I dream about all.
Welcome everyone to a Monday Night Live with Butterfield. We got Mr. Anderson. Um, this, this
Yo,
this week this week we have Mr. Anderson uh, joining us.
today I identify as Anderson. Pleasure to
Anderson.
be here, Jay.
Pleasure to be here too. Yeah, together we are the Butter Bros. Anderson and Jay. Jay being myself. We're both running Butterfield here, and we got an Instagram page, and a YouTube page, and a Twitter page, and a website too. Wow,
And even a TikTok.
even
We're
a
quite
TikTok.
I think people would call us influencers.
the
We influence.
the butter influencers.
Yeah, and then some others would call us dangerous voices, trying to get people killed.
Yeah. We're killing people with our recommendations or
Yeah, which couldn't be
opinions.
farther from the truth. We're here to dismantle the perverse food agenda, and I use the word dismantle very on purpose because they've elaborated this very complex trap to confuse you on what is good and what is bad food. Um, and our simple rule of thumb is, does it come from an animal? It's good. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The simple truth. You know, the solutions are always simple. The truth is kind of very simple. So if your suddenly starts feeling a little too complicated, it's probably not true. It's
Probably
probably
not
not
true.
right.
Yeah, you're getting confused in complexity, which is something that unfortunately happens very often. But hey, listen, if the whole world just ate steak and eggs for a whole year and they stopped listening to anything else, I am of the opinion that all of our problems would be solved. People's consciousness would be boosted to a whole new other level, and we'd be able to focus on building greater things, building a great society and culture, because no one would be fighting with their own bodies anymore, right? Because inflammation is disease, is people fighting their own selves when they're not nourishing their bodies properly. Your own body fights your mind, right? So if the whole world just ate steak and eggs for a whole year, everyone would just realign, and then you can talk about reintroduction later, but this works. It gives results. So
Absolutely. That is one of my favorite thought scenarios of people just eating steak and eggs for a full year. Watch how many problems would go away.
literally,
That's simple. Such a simple solution.
yeah. And if you don't believe us, go check out some of our podcasts with our guests. But you can also go check out carnivore.diet. Sean Baker's website, Dr. Sean Baker, and he's got hundreds of testimonies, if not up to thousands of people who have reversed or healed or cured or mitigated, chronic diseases, from metabolic and inflammatory and even mental. So pretty impressive stuff. Our bodies want to heal, and they're marvelous machines.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with that being said, we have a great show planned for you tonight. Tonight we'll be discussing artificial sweeteners. So the WHO recently came out with an opinion that these should not be consumed, or they should be discouraged or minimized. I'm not sure what they said, but we'll figure that out. But before we get started, make sure you like this video and you're subscribing to our YouTube channel, and leave us a comment down below if you're watching us. Drop a comment too if you're watching us live. When I hear where you're watching from, hey, we have Josh Ketry in the house. What's going on,
Josh.
man?
Hey,
Everyone, go
Josh.
check out Josh Ketry. Check out the episode with him. Check out his Instagram page. Check him out on Twitter. He puts out this excellent blog. Lots of very interesting thought pieces out there. Lots of testimonies on people who have effectively, I think I can use the word cured or reversed multiple sclerosis. Um, I had a grandmother who suffered from multiple sclerosis. She was wheelchair bound. She's not with us today anymore, but man, how many people are riddled with this health issue to no avail? Spending decades being exploited by the medical establishment. And here's Josh and so many of his friends who have effectively reversed all of that. So, there's truly something there. We don't have to understand it. We just have to know it works. But there's many reasons why it could work, and that's what we do here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a few housekeeping items. We're doing that step challenge in May. One step equals 1 point, and we are using step trackers. People are logging in their steps for the month of May. My brother's over there smiling because he knows how many steps he's doing, which are gonna see here in this slide. This is a leaderboard as of today. Lady Dolan leading the pack with 149,000. Me coming in next with 118, and then my brother with 16,000 steps. So he's barely getting 1,000 steps a day. Pray for him. Wish he's wish wish for more activity.
Yeah. What I'm not telling you is all these steps I'm doing with my hands, because I've been practicing my handstands. So this month I'm challenging myself to just do hand walking. So
hand walking. Oh man,
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
We could do that next month then. How many hand steps you can do?
Yeah. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, you're getting called out by Courtney.
Rookie numbers. Yeah, Courtney's got the special numbers.
69,656.
She needs 10 more steps, and it's going to be fantastic.
All right, artificial sweeteners and other sugar substitutes. All right, so let's start off with like a simple definition. Trying to understand what people are saying when they say artificial sweeteners or other sugar substitutes or sugar alcohols or novel sweeteners, or now a new term, right? This is new, but people are using it like they've been using it forever. Non-nutritive sweeteners, which sure, it's a good catch-all of everything here, but I think they're trying to move away from the word artificial because people associate artificial with fake, especially with fake meat being so prevalent these days. Whatever, we can get into that. But yes, artificial sweetener is something that tastes sweet, a little bit like sugar, but has fewer to no calories. These sweeteners are mostly created from chemicals in a laboratory. You know how we feel about that. If you're okay with eating food from a petri dish, that's your prerogative. Although some are actually made from natural substances like herbs. Think about stevia. And this is another thing. They can be 200 to 700 times more sweeter than table sugar. So you actually need a smaller dose to get that sugar-like sweetness. But it never quite tastes like sugar. Like none of the artificial sweeteners ever taste like sugar, right, Anderson?
No matter how hard they try.
No matter how novel, how much science you throw at it, it doesn't ever really hit like sugar.
Nothing does.
and these artificial sweeteners and other sugar substitutes, they don't contain any beneficial nutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, or fiber. If you're into that,
No.
uh,
We know how the nerds feel about fiber. They love their fiber.
I think I
And
think I think they just like big poops. I mean,
yeah,
and nothing wrong with that. If you like big poops, then absolutely consume big fiber.
it's like a self-sacrifice ritual, right? Like, I mean, kind of like those people who like, torture themselves whenever they like sin or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
I think I know what you mean. I think I know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they are into self punishment, and
self-punishment. That's right.
that
Yeah,
self punishment
just
gets them
kind of
off.
like that. Yeah, just tear yourself open. Why don't you?
Just if you're bleeding, you know it was good.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's what I call a proper detox.
A proper
What
detox. Oh
what the
man.
vegans will say will spend like an hour at the toilet bowl.
Oh
Uh,
man. So I think if you look at the big picture, they don't contain any beneficial nutrients, no vitamins. You're not going to find any vitamins, no antioxidants, minerals, nothing of that sort in these artificial sweeteners. So you should ask yourself, should I be eating something that has nothing in it?
yeah, yeah. That's
That
why another good term for these sweeteners is non-nutritive sweeteners, NNS. And I guess you could use those for both artificial and the natural ones.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Natural, like they still have some calories, but it's very very little.
Yeah,
Mild,
yeah.
mild to none.
Yes.
So
So
some examples: FDA approved sugar subs, asulfame potassium. Those are the ones that pretty popular one in diet sodas. Um,
yeah,
Advantane. I don't know that one.
yeah, that was also a new one for me. I don't think I've ever heard it or actually seen it on a shelf, but it's one of the examples there.
Yeah, but asulfame potassium, or also sometimes labeled as asulfame K,
Mm.
and aspartame are going to be like the two most prevalent ones found in diet sodas. Usually, like in some proportion or mixture. Like if you look at Diet Coke or Coke Zero, they both have both of these sweeteners. Um, but how do they make them both taste different? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Not sure what kind of sorcery they're doing, but it's sorcery all right.
yeah, indeed, indeed. So yeah, aspartame, those equal packets that you see. Saccharin, saccharin is also like it's losing popularity. I honestly I do not know who is still using saccharin, but those are the
Yeah,
sweet and low packages.
yeah,
I'm sorry, you said something?
yeah. That's like like an old lady thing, like sweet and
Oh,
low.
oh yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
not sure who consumes it.
yeah. Sucralose. This is probably the most popular one, or like the most easily accessible one. The Splenda.
Yeah, full transparency. That's my favorite one. So
Yeah, out of this list, probably Splenda is like the one that's like hits you with that nice sweet dose.
yeah, and erythritol, uh, like the other ones, like erythritol, like it just messes me up.
Mm,
Um, Even stevia has like a weird aftertaste, but
yeah,
anyhow, just being fully transparent here, not encouraging or encouraging anyone.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Monk fruit is another one interesting. That's interesting. I don't really like the taste of it. To be honest,
It tastes weird,
it does. It does.
but it'll give you your fix when you need it. All of these will.
Yeah, yeah. All of these will, and then when that's not enough, you're always gonna fall back into sugar.
Yeah, yeah. So what we got here? Yeah, so we covered sugar substitutes, and then we have a comparison. Another table: artificial sugar alcohols and novel sweeteners. So the ones we just mentioned, and then the sugar alcohols. Yes, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Erythritol, isomalt, lactitol, maltitol, sorbitol,
Yeah.
xylitol, xylitol.
I always, yeah, yeah. I
Anyone
know.
watching, let us know how you pronounce it.
Yeah,
Uh,
type how you pronounce
yeah,
it.
type. is it Jesus? I don't. Xylitol, xylitol.
It has a
Um,
Y, so I would say xylitol, but you know how English is. English can just not be pronounced like that.
just think of the laziest way to pronounce it. That's probably like how an American would say it.
Xylitol.
Xylitol. Yeah, I'll go with that. Uh,
Yeah.
Moving on, novel sweeteners. We have things like allulose, monk fruit, stevia, and tagatose. Dude, where are you getting these from?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm about to pull up the John Hopkins article where I got this from. Uh, but Courtney says xylitol, xylitol, like xylophone, like xylophone. Yeah. So yeah, if you're using xylophone as a basis, then yeah, xylitol. And it looks like we probably lost Mr. Anderson's voice over there. Yeah, we're Mr. Anderson. Hopefully, we'll get his audio back. But the WHO or the FDA or whoever never likes him. Anyway, so yeah, to talk a little bit more about sugar alcohols. Um, sugar alcohols are created synthetically from sugars themselves. Many sugar alcohols are used for many processed foods, not as sweet as artificial sweeteners. I think I can agree with that. Erythritol is probably the most popular one in the keto community, with like 1 calorie per gram. Um, it's not really that sweet, and they can cause gastrointestinal irritation, like bloating, gas, or diarrhea in some people. And this happens a lot with keto desserts, especially if you're making your keto recipes and you're using erythritol, and you're like, it's not sweet enough. You throw in extra erythritol, and that is bad news. Uh, it's never worth it to add the extra erythritol. And looks like we have Anderson back.
Yeah, I was waving at you. I was like,
Oh,
let me in, let me in.
wait, I thought you could let yourself in.
Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. I'm
Yeah.
technologically disadvantaged. That's
No,
why.
that's it's definitely Bill Gates. He installed something in your system that keeps you
sometimes,
confused. Keeps you
sometimes, man,
confused.
I'm always struggling, man. That's why you take care of the tech support back home. But
um,
anyway, what were you saying? Did you say erythritol makes you gassy?
yeah, I was just covering like the definition from John Hopkins. What they're talking about sugar alcohols here,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, they cause a lot of gastrointestinal irritation, bloating,
Yeah.
gas.
Sugar alcohols are part of the FODMAPs. So
That's true.
sugar alcohols are polyols, and these are fermentable. The FODMAPs are all fermentable sugars that can cause bloating, and well, bloating is gut inflammation, and that can be mostly because of gut irritants, but also like buildup of excess amounts of gas, right? So
Yeah.
be smart, don't fart.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, the novel sweeteners. Allulose. I think allulose is probably the most novel one. Very few shelf foods out there really have it. I think I've actually just started seeing in the grocery store, like as like a sugar that you can buy. But yeah, novel sweeteners are derived from natural sources, relatively a new group, sometimes called plant-derived non-caloric sweeteners. I would say key word is plant-derived. Do you trust plants?
No,
Many benefits of both artificial and natural sweeteners like fruit or honey. Novel sweeteners are not a significant source of calories or sugar, so they don't lead to weight gain or blood sugar spikes. Typically less processed and more similar to the natural sources compared to artificial sweeteners. So,
Yeah, relatively less
yeah,
processed.
yeah. So, based on these two arguments, uh, not a significant source of calories and blood sugar spikes, I think, you know, those are actually very important for someone who's diabetic, uh, or someone who has high blood glucose problems, or starting to get like being insulin resistant. Um, so I would support the use for people who are trying to reverse those sort of problems. I mean, honestly, anyone who wants to use it is free to use it.
Yeah, yeah. Some people seem to be advocating now for diabetics to not use any kind of sweetener or like these non-nutritive sweeteners, and instead use things like maple syrup and honey. But if you're a diabetic, uh, again, nothing here is medical advice, but that's just not really going to be conducive towards your goals. Um, Definitely not if you're diabetic. So we know like restricting carbohydrates works. We know low carb, keto, carnivore work. Um,
Restricting calories, to be honest, also works.
yes, yes. Calorie restriction, just like your standard, portion control, dietary advice, get on the low fat milk, Cheerios, and that kind of thing, and a bunch of diet soda. That works. I was
Yeah.
put on my first diet when I was in the second grade. I was a fat, chubby kid. I still am in my heart, but yeah, I remember those days, the low fat, miserable Cheerios and lots of diet soda. I could eat ice cream on the weekends. It was all portion controlled, but man, I was hungry. So if you're anything like me, you know, maybe something like this works for you too.
All right. So the WHO advises against artificial sweeteners. We got a few articles here that we're going to cover, and we will also kind of cover a little bit the actual WHO study or WHO systematic review.
Cool.
The WHO. So something. I don't know why. I don't know why I have an issue with people starting to use the term non-nutritive sweetener. I understand that it means it's more of a catch-all for all artificial sweeteners, sugar, alcohols, and novel sweeteners. But I feel like some people are using it out there like it's like, oh, I've always been using that term because I'm a super smart person. But here's the search history, of the use non-nutritive sweetener. You know, no one has really used the term ever. People
Wow.
normally use the term artificial sweetener. Um, I just wanted to point that out because we should call it artificial, or no, just because it is something not real.
Yeah.
um,
Wait. So do you think like stevia is artificial then? Like, would you say
oh, that's a
in your view? I mean, that's fine if you say it.
no, you're right. I mean, it's not really artificial, is it? Because
I
comes
mean,
from
I
a
don't know.
plant.
Yeah, I mean, like if you say stevia is artificial, then I guess refined sugar, like white sugar, like table sugar, is just as well as
It's just
uh,
another
artificial. But
artificial sweetener.
yeah, yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Let's discuss this at the end. Let's
Yeah.
get through these articles.
Yeah. So CNN Health, right? Your trusted news source of the day, CNN. It's true. Don't use sugar substitutes for weight loss. World Health Organization advises. Um, the global health body said a systematic review of the available evidence suggests that the use of non-sugar sweeteners, or NSS, does not confer any long-term benefit in reducing body fat in adults or children. Replacing free sugars with non-sugar sweeteners does not help people control their weight long term, said Francesco Branca, director of WHO's Department of Nutrition and Food Safety. We did see a mild reduction of body weight in the short term, but it's not going to be sustained. So, so the WHO is basically saying, hey, if you use non-sugar sweeteners, non-nutritive sweeteners, whatever, artificial sweeteners, what, uh, the weight that you lose is not a long-term weight loss. What do you think, Anderson? Is that they're saying basically here the dude is saying, hey, you lose the weight in the short term, but doesn't seem like that transfers into the long term.
Yeah, well, it's complicated. I mean, they're going off of based on some systematic reviews.
Hmm.
Um, but you know, there's some systematic reviews who also suggest that simple like caloric restriction and calorie deficits don't work either because people lose the weight, but then
Mm.
they end up in weight rebound. Um,
Oh,
so
yeah.
so is it that they don't work, or is it like maybe there's other behavioral issues as to why people are not able to sustain this weight loss? This is something that we deal with all the time. Um, we see cases, we've been through it, and we work with people like this. It's a matter of adherence, um,
Yeah.
and again, people who are more heavily relying on these sweeteners tend to be people who are also going to be metabolically compromised, right?
Yeah.
But they're going to be relying on these to even heavier extents, to greater extents. Um, so it makes sense why some systematic reviews might suggest this. But if you look at the highest quality of studies available, the randomized controlled trials, human randomized controlled trials. uh, yeah, I mean it's pretty cut and clear. Like uh, they've actually shown that people who make the switch from sugar sweetened beverages to sweetened beverages. Is that the right term? Artificially sweetened beverages. They lose more weight by making the switch to artificially sweetened beverages, than even drinking water. So
Mm.
you know, those are that's the human outcome data.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Lane Norton speaks about that to great extent.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Um, yeah. Imagine you're a 300-pound person and every day you're having like maybe 5 Cokes or something. Replace those 5 Cokes with 0 calorie beverage with fake sweeteners. That's a lot of calories that you're immediately removing. So that simple switch will make you lose weight. Um, but then, as you also mentioned, there might be some behavioral issues, right? You didn't get 300 pounds by making good, healthy choices. There's obviously some error in the decision making process or some behavioral stuff that kind of needs to be corrected. Um, and let's also admit that, sugar can be very, very tasty. So you can probably get a sugar rebound. Just like you have a
Oh
weight rebound, you could probably have a sugar rebound.
yeah, yeah. I mean, how many times have we seen like keto people who struggle with weight loss,
Mm.
but they're supposedly keto, but really all they're doing is like eating keto junk food, which is the same story told like with a different shade. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, they're doing. They went from the normal diet now into they're doing keto, but they're doing packaged keto. Everything comes in little nice little bags and packages, and on top of that, they're doing a bunch of keto recipes. So they're
yeah,
still eating a bunch of calories.
yeah,
Even
not eating wheat flour anymore, but they are bombarding themselves with oxalates from all that almond flour that's also high in omega 6s and erythritols and whatever. And
yeah.
keto doesn't mean low calorie. Like it can still be pretty fattening. It actually might be more fattening than like your conventional run of the mill uh,
Uh,
pastry because of such stuff that's such high fat content.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, the review also indicated there might be potential undesirable effects from the long-term use of sugar substitutes, such as mild increases in risk of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. That actually requires us to dive into the studies and actually determine how they came how do they determine that sugar substitutes increase type 2 or CVD. But right now, you know, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is one of those situations where you're dealing with reverse causation.
Mm,
So, in other
yes.
words, it's not these sugar substitutes that are causing these things. It's like the people who are suffering these things tend to lean towards the sugar substitutes more often. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. They already have type 2 diabetes. They already have some sort of CVD, and they are using now these sugar substitutes. So it's just a confounding factor. However,
Exactly.
this recommendation is not meant to comment on safety or consumption. What this guideline says is that if we're looking for reduction of obesity, weight control, or risk of non-communicable disease, that is unfortunately something science has been unable to demonstrate. It's not going to produce the positive health effects that some people might be looking for. Um, yeah, sure. I mean, it's a. They're not trying to talk about the safety of eating this. They're just saying that uh, the non-sugar sweeteners, they're not really a solution for obesity, weight control, or disease.
Hmm. Yeah, and in isolation, they're not going to be a solution if you're not addressing the behavioral issues. If you're not training yourself to, you know, uh, allow yourself to be satiated by your food choices, right? As is the case in high protein diets like an animal based one, carnivore one. Very different situation. Of course, their recommendation is going to be to stuff yourself full with fiber. Um,
Yes,
you're more than welcome to try that.
which is not satisfying at all. It just creates volume in your stomach,
Yeah,
but you
exactly.
still have that sense of hunger.
It's filling, but not satiating. And if you've ever been truly satiated, then you know like it's a very different sensation than being completely stuffed.
Yes, excellent way to put it.
Yeah.
Excellent way to put it. Let me see. This new guideline is based on thorough assessment of the latest scientific literature, and it emphasizes the use of artificial sweeteners is not a good strategy for achieving weight loss by reducing dietary energy intake, said nutrition researcher Ian Johnson, Emeritus Fellow at Quadram Institute of Bioscience, formerly Institute of Food Research in Norwich, UK. This should not be interpreted as an indication that sugar intake has no relevance to weight control. So this is kind of like, let's confuse people. Let's tell people artificial sweeteners are not gonna make you lose weight, and then people are gonna be like, oh, so sugar doesn't make you gain weight then? But no, sugar does make you gain weight. So now you're facing a wall. Now you're facing a wall. Like it's you trying to lose weight, and now in front of you you have nothing. You basically have sugar, which you know is going to make you gain weight, and you have artificial sweeteners, which are supposedly not going to help you lose weight. Um, so kind of boxing people, right? This is what this is doing, is just confusing people and boxing people into a corner, into making them feel like they have no way out. It's genetics, man, and take your GLP-1 drug.
Oh man, don't get me started on those. Yeah, start taking your pills and injections for losing weight. Get your surgery. Get your stomach mutilated. My God.
Oh yeah, get your gastric bypass. That's the solution.
Yeah. They really like that's what they're setting the stage for here when they tell you, like, it's not the sugar substitute, it's not the sugar, it's you.
It's your genes, so you need gene therapy as well. um,
Yeah. What else have we got here?
Let me see.
Some more nerd doctors.
Yeah. The guidance is meant for government health organizations in countries who may wish to use scientific analysis to implement policy changes for their citizens. Right.
That's very,
So
very scientific from them.
yeah. So the government is unable to listen to its citizens, but instead listens to other corporations and looks at the corporations as absolute truth, and then implements that upon its citizens. That doesn't seem like getting out of hand here. Um, that doesn't seem like a very uh, um, government like. It so
Yeah. Some of the latest research included, because they have some interesting points here. Let me read this part. So they're saying a total of 283 studies were included in the review. Both randomized controlled trials, considered the gold standard of research, and observational studies were included. Observational studies can only show an association, not direct cause and effect. Results from randomized trials found the use of non-sugar sweeteners had a low impact on reducing body weight and calorie intake when compared with sugar, and no change in intermediate markers of diabetes such as glucose and insulin, according to the report. Observational studies also found a low impact on body weight and fat tissue, but no change in caloric intake. However, those studies found a low increase in risk for type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, heart disease, and death from heart disease, the report noted. A very low risk was also found for bladder cancer and an early death from any cause. So what is that saying? Like it just had a low impact overall in any of these fields.
yeah, basically. Um, oh yeah, it's not really helping you lose weight, not really helping your biomarkers for diabetes, glucose, insulin, not really,
Yeah, it's
no,
not really doing anything for you.
not, yeah, it's just wishy-washy. But from a logical perspective, right? If you're consuming fewer calories, that's going to help your weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
Um, both artificial and natural sweeteners. That recommendation included low or no calorie synthetic sweeteners and natural extracts, which may include chemically modified acyl K, aspartame, aspartame, cyclamates, neotame, saccharin, sucralose, stevia derivatives, monk fruit, so on and so forth. Stevia and monk fruit are newer sweeteners, so there's less published research. Um, Physiological mechanisms as other sweeteners. So you're basically saying, yeah, they don't really know about stevia and monk fruit on their effects on diabetes or weight loss or weight control. Stevia is considered to be more natural because it comes from the stevia plant, but that's a very important key word: plant. You should always ask yourself, do you trust this plant? Some natural artificial sweeteners adding bulk sugars to their products to cut the sweetness and add bulk to the product for baking. So the problem may not be the stevia, but maybe the bulking agents themselves. And erythritol. Oh, remember? Oh man, no, I didn't want to click that. Remember the whole scare that they had about erythritol, being linked to blood clotting, stroke, heart attack, and early death.
Yeah, anything causes those things except.
Yeah, linked.
You know what?
Except irreversible medical procedures.
Yeah.
Linked. I like that they use the word linked, right? Because when people use the word linked, they're really using the word associated. But people already know, or people already caught on that the word associated doesn't mean causation. It just means somehow, some way, two things were high or two things were low at the same time.
Exactly.
Um, all right. So here, just let's
What are
just
the
hop in.
Yeah, what are their suggestions?
Oh, there's suggestions. You wanna? Yeah, let's look at what CNN is actually recommending.
Yeah, they say train your taste buds. If you gradually cut back on sugar, including artificial sweeteners, and include more protein and fiber-rich foods in your diet, that can help you crave less sugar. Well, there you go. Listen, this is one of those answers where they're telling you like half a truth. Well, actually, no, they're being honest. Protein and fiber will fill you up,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
only one of those will fill you up volume-wise, and the other one's going to satiate you though. So learning
very
that is
true.
different. Learning that is like growing up. You know, that's when you finally grow up. You become an adult. It's like you start to prioritize protein.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Second advice: choose no sugar added foods and avoid all sugar sweetened drinks. For example, choose whole grain cereal, or Greek yogurt with no sweeteners. Yes, the sugar sweet drinks to take off your grocery list should include sodas, energy drinks, sports drinks, and fruit punch. Choose water instead. All right, next, drink coffee and tea with no or fewer sugars. Yep, yeah, those are pretty satiating. They're pretty filling. Enjoy fruit for dessert. Uh, yeah, that's not a bad advice. Fruit should be seen as dessert in our view. Again, and you don't need dessert every single day. Uh,
Correct.
Watch
Correct.
for stealth sugars. Yeah, these are going to be hidden everywhere. And check nutrition facts labels. Yeah, people who go on keto will become very well trained when they're trying to like discount their carbs. How many net carbs am I eating? And then they get to like say
That's
like,
not.
well, erythritol doesn't count.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Then doing all the math. Yeah, but added sugars can go by other names such as agave, brown sugar, corn sweetener, corn syrup, dextrose, evaporated cane juice, fructose, fruit juice concentrate, fruit nectar, glucose, high fructose corn syrup, honey, invert sugar, lactose, malt syrup, maltose, molasses, maple syrups, raw sugar, sucrose, trehalose, and turbinado sugar.
Yeah, yeah. Checking
The rap
ingredients,
song.
checking the nutrition facts is a skill in itself, right? It should be a natural habit that everyone has. Just looking at the ingredients, because I mean, if you're not used to looking at what sugar can be called, it can be called all these things, and you know, biochemically, it's gonna do the same thing as sugar does. So, you know, invert sugar, you might say, oh, it's not normal sugar, so maybe it does the opposite of sugar, invert sugar, so it's fine. Um, you know, a lot of these things, maltose, molasses, maple syrups. Hey, there's someone out there in IG and social media saying that maple is good for diabetic people. Um,
Yeah, no, no. These sugars, they're literally like they're like they're plant juice. They're you look at the way that maple syrup is produced, or even cane sugar. It's literally like tree sap, like plant sap, plant
mm,
juice. I
yeah,
guess squeezed out or tapped out, if you will.
yeah,
Then it gets boiled down, concentrated, you know, um, to make the syrup or to make sugar. And yeah, it's not good. It's disgusting.
yeah.
It's tasty, but it's not good. But anyhow, let's move on, Jay, because we're almost at the top of the hour.
uh,
And
yeah. We're just gonna rush past this one from ABC News just to see how a different news source kind of approaches the same article by the WHO or the same recommendation from the WHO. Uh, you know, they say that zero-calorie non-sugar sweeteners, including artificial and natural sweeteners like aspartame, and stevia, have not been shown to help with weight loss long-term in children or adults, and their use may bring side effects like increased cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and death in adults, the WHO said in its finding. So the tone of this first paragraph is way more serious. Not only will it not help you with weight loss, it'll bring side effects and increase your cardiovascular risk, increase your type 2 diabetes, and death. You know, I'm pretty sure, we just used the CNN article back there, and the WHO didn't really say it caused death. Um, so yeah, ABC just kind of just hyping up the news, replacing free sugars with non-sugar substitutes does not help the weight control in the long term. People need to consider other ways to reduce free sugar intake, such as taking drugs. Uh, no, but
Right.
this is NSS are not essential dietary factors and have no nutritional value. I agree with that. You know, with that fact in of itself, is it something that you want to be consuming? But then again, depends on your goals, what you're currently dealing with. If you have a sweetness addiction, or you like something sweet, or it's the weekend and you want to treat yourself, you know, so many different multiple scenarios. Depends on what you truly want to do.
Mhm. Yeah, gotta be honest with yourself.
Yeah. Yes, the WHO issued its recommendation after a systematic review of 280 studies. Yes, that was covered in the CNN article. Um, uh, so yeah, here just highlighting that yeah, there's an obesity epidemic. So a lot of people are using the non-sugar sweeteners, um, and the FDA thinks that they are safe to eat consume, but they don't really know long-term health effects. Low-calorie sugar alternatives have been found, at least in one study, to change the gut microbiome, the collection of microbes in the gut that help protect humans against disease and enables us to digest foods. So here to highlight, they're saying, oh, it changes your gut microbiome. Um, you know, there's really no way to tell if it's for the positive or for the negative. Uh, all you notice is a change. And if you're really honest about this, literally any food that you eat, it will change your gut microbiome. So
Yeah. This one always. Anyway, anytime anyone brings up like, "Oh my God, it changes your gut microbiome," and this is bad, um, like I guarantee you, anyone who makes that claim does not know what they're talking about because, like, as my brother mentioned, like literally anything will change your gut microbiome. Like anything. Like, so is it good or is it bad? I mean, who knows? Some people will tell you eating meat changes your gut microbiome, and then this gut microbiome is associated with all these diseases. I mean, eating meat is bad. you know, let's
yeah.
focus on the big things that actually work, rather than like, some people will be telling you like, will be throwing around words that no one's ever heard before, like artificial sweeteners disrupt your quorum sensing. That's not it. That's not it, man. That helps absolutely zero people, and is just like it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't help anyone. And who gives a crap about your quorum sensing?
Yes, something you've never heard before is suddenly a problem. It's something you should be truly be concerned about. Uh, as powerful and as good as social media is at bringing you information, there's also the wrong incentive of trying to get your attention by causing a commotion where there shouldn't really be a commotion. But that's what we humans do. We make problem where there isn't none. With this, I agree. The healthiest sweetener is to use no sweetener at all. Obviously, that's kind of unrealistic. Um, Everyone's gonna want something sweet at some point in their life. Per-
Absolutely.
Personally, it's something I strive for, but personally, it's something I fail at consistently. But nonetheless, I know exactly what to eat the next day. I know what are my healthy foods. I'm always good to get back on track. Uh, our cells need glucose to function, so it's not totally evil. Dr. Jennifer Ashton, ABC News chief medical correspondent, said of sugar. So this is another thing I really dislike when people interchangeably use glucose and sugar. Sugar is 50-50 glucose fructose. Glucose is 100% glucose. Uh, so and then
Exactly.
there's there's the second distinction of yes, you need glucose to function, but not dietary glucose, and that's provable by the entire carnivore community, by the entire high fat community,
Yeah.
ketovore. So
Oh, oh, but eating steak turns to cookies. The steak turns to cake because gluconeogenesis is stressful. It's like, bro, shut up. Like, our body can make sugar. Well, we can make glucose from, yes, we can make glucose from protein. By the way, protein is always being oxidized even when you're carb fueled. But your body can also make glucose from fat. You can make glucose from ketones. You can make glucose from lactate, a byproduct of just like respiration. Um, and if you don't believe your body can convert fat to glucose, well, your body can certainly convert excess dietary sugar into fat. So doesn't it make sense that it can do the inverse when it needs it? It'll store excess energy as fat. When it needs extra energy, it can tap into the fat. See what I'm saying?
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, the body is a clever design.
Yeah.
Uh,
But wait, I have one more. Oh, but your body uses glucose first when you consume it. Um, your body also uses alcohol first when you consume alcohol. Does that mean alcohol is our preferred fuel? No. Does that mean maybe alcohol is viewed by the body like a toxin and it has to like process it first and get rid of it? Yeah. Could it be the same for glucose? Potentially. I'm not saying it is, but you know, there's
correct,
that possibility.
correct. Yeah, there is certainly a preferred range. I think we can all agree there's a preferred blood glucose level that is recommended and that is preferred by the body. If you go above this level, your body has mechanisms to regulate it back to its normal levels. That's called insulin. So your body will try to bring it back to normal levels. This should tell you something. So yeah, the average American consumes 34 teaspoons of sugars a day, which equals 500 calories. So, I mean, just imagine you change those 500 calories from 500 to zero. That's your easy 500 calorie deficit um, if you're consuming this amount of sugar.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
about the equivalent of 7 eggs.
wow, imagine 7 eggs. That would satisfy a lot of people.
That's like some people, your average person can't fathom ingesting 7 eggs at once. But you could ingest 500 calories of sugar very easily.
Yeah, 34 teaspoons. I mean, yeah, you can drink that.
All right, let's keep it moving, Jay.
All right, so let's just jump straight into what the WHO says. So I have it here ready, and we're just going to cover the executive summary and kind of just look at the table of contents really quickly because it's a big paper, right? And in order to really fully tackle what this paper is saying, and if it has any basis on truth, look at what you have to cover. Uh, you know,
Yeah, who's gonna sit down and actually read this? I mean, we might, but you won't. But you probably
yeah,
won't. The
yeah.
listener, just say.
Yeah, the do you think the CNN writer actually went through this 210
Oh
pages,
hell no,
or the ABC
no.
writer went through this?
The CNN chief medical correspondent. Man, we should be the chief medical correspondents. We'd be helping out way more people over there.
100%, 100%.
Anyhow, let's dive into it.
Let's dive into it. So yeah, they cover the methods, how they selected the participants, the studies, search strategy, data analysis, and then they kind of categorized all the studies into what the results of adiposity, type 2 diabetes, all cause mortality, all your modern day problems. And they also broke it down by children and pregnant women. So let's just jump into the executive summary. All right.
All right, I can read.
Yes.
A 2019 systematic review on intake of non-sugar sweeteners (NSS) in adults and children was updated and expanded to include studies in which NSS were not specified by name and studies of effects of NSS on pregnant women published through July 2021. A total of 283 studies were included in the review. Meta-analysis focused on randomized controlled trials, prospective cohort studies, and case control studies assessing cancer and certainty in results was assessed via GRADE, grading of recommendations, assessment, development, and evaluation. Results for key outcomes in adults, including pregnant women, are summarized in the figure below. In addition, a single randomized controlled trial conducted in children reported decreases in several measures of adiposity, but no significant events or associations were observed in meta-analysis.
Excellent. So yeah, these charts over here kind of walk you through, the results that they found. But before we start looking into that, we should read this note over here. Anderson.
Text in parentheses refers to certainty in the evidence as assessed by GRADE. Quotation marks mostly in refers to results of subgroup analysis. NSS leads to NSS sugars refers to studies in which NSS were compared with sugars. The red arrow up equals increased effect, and green arrow down equals decreased effect, and then zero, a gray zero means no effect. So,
Yeah.
what do we take from that?
Yeah. So yeah, the what was the effect on body weight? Not NSS compared to sugars. They saw a decrease in body weight. However, it was categorized low in terms of certainty in the evidence assessed by grade. Basically saying that using their grade methodology, they with very low certainty, you're going to experience a reduction in body weight. Basically, that's what they're trying to say here. Yeah, you saw a decrease in BMI, but the certainty of evidence was low. Then neutral, no effect on other measurements. Type 2 diabetes, no effect on the biomarkers. All-cause mortality, that was interesting. There's just simply no data. I would like to check that section out if there is a section. Because you always hear that claim being thrown around. X things reduces your life expectancy or whatever. That always stuff like that always gets thrown around. CVD, an increased effect. So this is interesting. Total HDL cholesterol plus 0.09. Not really sure what that means. Moderate. So for this one, they actually categorize it as moderate.
It's like the only data point out of all of these.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, that's a very good point. Everything else is labeled low, 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 low. Basically, using their grade methodology, everything was graded low in terms of certainty of evidence. Yeah. Anything else that we should highlight here?
Yeah, the energy intake was shown to be effectively reduced by about 569 calories. The sugar intake by 38 grams per day when compared to making the switch. So, not bad.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
According to them, that's low evidence though for them.
Yeah, well, these are the randomized controlled trials, and then the other ones we're looking at cohorts. And in all of those, it seems like, pretty much all the risk factors increased when making the switch.
Yeah.
So obesity went up, BMI went up, type 2 diabetes went up, fasting glucose went up, and this is all when making the switch. Is that right?
Yeah. All-cause mortality, cardiovascular disease, all up. But then again, they're also labeling all of these with a low grade of low certainty in evidence. So the evidence doesn't really, it's pretty low supporting this claim.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, these cohort studies are going to be less quality evidence than the randomized control trial. So there's also that to consider.
Yeah, the cohort. So these are like your association population studies.
Hmm.
So they you can only establish associations with this. That's the
Yeah,
best you can say.
yeah,
Association. You got an association.
yeah, and it's just very well possible that all of these factors they went up in the cohort studies by reverse causation. Kind of like all those studies that suggest that red meat increases your risk of heart disease and colon cancer. Healthy user bias. I'm
Yeah.
happy accepting this explanation for both scenarios.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then I think we could probably skip this. It's sometimes it's nice to read the background because it kind of explains a lot, but um, a lot of the context, right? Because the intention of the background is bring you up to speed of like what's going on in terms of context. Um, but yeah, I think we just crossed the 1 hour mark, so we should be wrapping it up.
Yeah, yeah. And we're past our time here, and this has been a very fun conversation to have. Um, yeah. Any thoughts? I mean, hey, it's fake. It's not real. They have no nutrition to them, but so does real sugar.
True.
And should we be consuming these things? Well, these things are only possible because of the mass industrialization of food. Um, you know, our ancestors were probably just like eating like seasonal fruits, which were probably significantly less sweet than the fruits we have today. Certainly, sugar wasn't that readily available back then. Um, yeah, you don't need something sweet every day. But that being said, the advantage that the non-sugar sweeteners offer is it's a low calorie value, low to zero calorie value. So that does work, and you gotta be honest and forthcoming about what your goal is. Do you want to optimize to become a purist? Don't touch receipts, don't wear polyester and none of that, or are you just someone who would like to lose the excess weight? And we don't have to run before we learn how to walk, right? So take one step at a time and strive for progress, not perfection. Don't stress yourself for not being able to sustain some idealistic version of life that is being presented to you on social media. I mean, what matters the most is that you find a system that you can adhere to and sustain in the long term that will allow you to maintain a healthy body composition. That is the bigger hurdle to overcome here. Excess weight being like the biggest risk factor for literally virtually like any and all disease.
Correct. Energy toxicity, as you
And
mentioned.
energy toxicity, yeah. Yeah, that's the one. And I will say, it's I do love my fair share of sweeteners, and I do love my fair share of diet soda. I think childhood messed me up to become addicted to sugar because of the prevalence of cereal and things like that.
Mm,
So I've been a regular diet soda drinker for years, um, and I can't fathom the idea of drinking a real soda. To me, that's like I would never do that. Like I would never imagine myself drinking like a regular Coke. And anytime I see someone doing it, I'm just like, my God, what are you doing? But
yeah.
some people have never really had that chip inserted in their minds, and it's very funny because being here in El Salvador, especially when you go out to like the rural countryside, um, people don't have Coke Zero. People don't have Diet Coke. They just have Coke. And you go out to like a run of the mill like hole in the wall restaurant and you say like, "Do you have Coke Zero?" They're like, "No, I have real, I have just have the real stuff." Um,
Yeah.
it's just funny, like seeing like these people like they don't have access to these things, and to them, like the concept of something being sweet and not having sugar is an unknown concept.
Mm,
You explain to them, hey, this has 0 calories and it doesn't have any sugar, but they'll taste it and will be like, this is sweet. What are you talking about? Like, of course it has sugar. So
mm.
that was just very eye opening and offered some perspective for someone who's been dependent on these things, reliant on these things for many, many years. Anyways, those are my closing remarks. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. Just yeah, like you said, be honest with yourself. What are your goals, and don't try to do everything all at once. Like you said, um, because if you're trying to lose weight, the last thing you want to be doing is also restricting your. If you have a thing for something sweet, uh, you already are restricting what you're eating because you want to lose the weight and be healthier. So you may need a crutch, or you may need something to help you, something sweet. And obviously, in terms of weight loss progress, the 0 calorie option will help you the best. Um, and eventually, if it's up to you, you can start. You get to a healthy weight. Now probably that's your next growth goal, to start weaning out all these sweet stuff. That's something that I'm currently undertaking myself. Um, I'm not very successful at it. I do have my weekends where I have my something sweet, but yeah, it's just use it as a tool, right? To try not to worry too much about it. It seems like they're trying to scare you that it causes death. Um, kind of odd statement. They're trying to scare you that it causes heart disease. I'm not really too sure about that either. We'll probably review the studies that are here that actually say that point out how it causes heart disease. And if there's some truth to it, we'll bring it up, because that would be new to us, or it would be new to me to kind of understand how it causes heart disease, um, or type 2 diabetes, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
I think
uh,
it is fair to say that as far as like unwanted side effects from these sweeteners, you know, they do work for weight loss management because of their caloric value. But might there be any other unwanted side effects that don't relate to weight loss? Like absolutely. Um,
mm,
and maybe these products are just too novel that there isn't enough long-term data on it. Um, So
yeah,
it is a synthetic thing, and it might have other consequences that we do not know of down the line.
yeah,
In full transparency, right?
yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah, with long-term health data, it's always tough because there's always like a new sugar coming out. Now we have allulose. A few years back, stevia came into the market. Uh, time will really tell. Uh, but as my brother always says, what's the fundamental truth? Animal foods are here for you. You can trust in them. They're here. They're actually healthy foods. They're not trying to kill you. Trying to do quite the opposite of killing you. They're trying to actually make you healthy and stronger.
Yeah.
So with that, I think you can probably lead a very happy life, just knowing that maybe it gives you the bandwidth to enjoy these other synthetic, non-nutritive artificial sweeteners, because we
Awesome.
know that the human body is very, very tolerable, right? Very resilient, very resilient.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Jay, I think that's a good place to end. You know,
Yes,
thanks
good
everyone
place
for
to end.
tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment down below, and check us out on all the other platforms. And if you'd like to work with us, we do offer 2-on-1 consultations to help you on your weight, health, and fitness goals. And yeah, join our free Discord. weekly Zoom meetings on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we do this every Monday. So Instagram lives and then YouTube lives. So come hang out, ask us any questions. We're an open book.
Yeah. So with that said, thank you everyone for watching. Catch you all next week on our next episode, and wishing everyone a happy, healthy, and more nutrient dense era. Catch you all next time.